Do you feel like you're doing a ton of work in HR, but leadership barely sees it? If that sounds like you, this video is going to change the way you communicate your value forever. Most HR managers do great work: policy updates, compliance, employee relations, talent acquisition, culture, but none of that on its own translates into visible impact. And if your work is not visible, it's almost impossible to be seen as a true leader. Today, I'm going to show you exactly what to put in an HR report so that the leaders understand exactly the value that you deliver. If you're not new here, you know the drill. Get your notebook, get something to write with, to take some really good notes on what we're going to dive into today. If you are new here, hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, and not miss any videos I drop about ways to elevate your HR career on purpose and with purpose. Before we jump in, tell me in the comments, what's the hardest part about communicating your work? Is it the data that surrounds it? Is it the impact? Is it just communication overall? Let me know down in the comments. I'm Bryttani Graddick, HR leadership coach, and I've been in HR for 17 years. Currently, today I work in executive leadership in my day job, but I started as an unpaid HR intern. And my ability to strategically communicate my impact and the results I was delivering is one of the biggest reasons I've been able to grow the way that I have. Inside of my coaching program, this is exactly the work that I do. I help HR professionals to go from feeling overworked, overwhelmed, and undervalued to confidently sharing their results, sharing their impact, and knowing that the work that they're doing truly matters and is valued by leadership. Here's the truth: it's not your work that's the problem. The problem is the way you're reporting on that work. Once you learn what leaders actually care about and how to structure your updates in a simple framework, everything changes. So let's talk about what makes the HR report powerful, clear, and impossible to ignore. First thing you need to know: leaders don't want activities, they want outcomes. Most HR reports sound like task lists: process payroll, onboarded new hires, handle determination. Those things are fine, but those things won't get you the visibility that you really want. And those things just come with the job. If we're talking about ways going to separate you from lower level work into higher level work, you got to think about not just the list of the things you're getting done, the tasks that you're working on, but what's the impact of that work. I talk often about my proficiency pyramid going up the pyramid. So I'll say it again here. So in my proficiency pyramid, it's literally a triangle. At the bottom of the triangle, you've got your tasks that you work on. Again, processing payroll, handling termination, handling phone calls, anything that's just a one and done, one and done, one and done. Anybody can do that level work. You can hire someone off the street and do that kind of work. You were likely hired in your very first HR role doing that type of work. That is not business aligned work. You're not thinking at a high level. And again, in the age of AI and all these things, those are the things that are going to be the first to go when we're talking about ways to automate the work that we're doing in HR. So you've got to think about, if you're talking about visibility in your role and getting things that leaders actually care about, you've got to get beyond these task updates. So again, the bottom of that level of the pyramid is the task-based work, administration-focused work. On top of that, you got your processes. So you're talking about, not only are you getting these things done, but maybe you're establishing something new. You're establishing a process to not only measure yourself by and make sure you're getting things done effectively, but you're making it available to the leaders to make sure that the organization handles things in this process. This is the way things done. One of my favorite sayings is that if there's not a plan, anything goes. That's personal for you. So if you've got no plan for your career, you will never know if you're going to make it to your actual destination because you've got no goal. There's nothing you're shooting for. So if there's no plan for the way you process payroll, if there's no plan for the way you handle terminations, if there's no plan for the way you do your handbook updates, if there's no process around it, anything goes. It could be done this way this time, and this way that time, and this way this time, and nothing is wrong because everything's right. So you've got to find a way to make your process efficient and put things around it to make systems available for you to make sure you're able to be successful and consistently successful. On top of that, you got your data focus. So you're thinking about, okay, well, not only are you doing the things and you're putting processes around it, but you're also tracking your success, measuring yourself, measuring yourself against benchmarks, against trends to tell you, are you doing well? Are you just maintaining, or are you declining in the level of efficiency in this role? That's very important when you're delivering your reports to your leaders, because they need to know, and you need to be able to communicate powerfully and clearly how well you're doing. They don't care about how many widgets you've made, so to speak, how many conversations you've had, and things like that. They care about the impact of that work. And that's at the very top of the pyramid is your business aligned work, where you're looking at, not only are you getting things done, not only are you making processes effective, not only are you tracking your success, but you're also looking to see how is this impacting the business. This is what we're talking about, the outcomes. They don't care about the tasks. They want to know the outcomes of your work. By updating your handbook, is this clarifying a long-standing issue or clarifying something that maybe you're scaling back on a policy that was too restrictive to overall improve the employee experience? Or the way you're handling your terminations, are you maybe adding more empathy into the process to make sure that no one feels left out and that any conversation that you have is going to be held appropriately and concisely to make sure that the person is not going to lose their dignity in the process? Again, everything you do in HR, I'm so passionate about this. Everything you do in HR can be tracked, can be improved, and can be more effective. So you need to understand for yourself, for your career's sake, you need to understand ways to communicate your value very concisely and very effectively. And that starts with not just tracking the things you're doing individually, not thinking about the tasks, but you've got to focus on the impact and the outcomes of your work. Again, leaders do not care about the activities that you do. Again, that's your job. They care about the impact of the work that you do. For your updates, always frame the transformation, not the task that you're working on. And this is the work that I do inside my program. One of the modules, we talk about elevating your work and strategic influence and finding ways to get beyond I thought like the bottom of the barrel focus and bottom of the barrel attention, but also literally elevating your work so that you're not thinking just bare minimum. You're finding ways to be very intentional about your approach. This is the work that people don't think about. And this is the work that I've not ever read a book about ways to do this. So I came up with this on my own because I think it's so important that I'm sharing this with you now, because I think so many people have leaders and they challenge you to be strategic, but they don't have the words to tell you what that means. It's almost like I'll know it when I see it, but they've never told you what it means. Or you might have a manager who's not able to help you because they've got no HR background. So you're flying blind. You're in the deep end. You got no support. So this is the work that I do to help HR leaders to not feel on an island by themselves. I know how it feels. It's lonely. It's debilitating. It makes you question whether HR is right for you. And if that's what you are feeling, but you're watching a video like this, let me just reaffirm you. You're watching a video like this, you're leaning in, you're learning on your own, you're seeking out the answers, you're being resourceful, and that's exactly what you're supposed to do. So congratulations to you. Kudos to you for leaning in, for finding the answers, finding the support, if it's time for you to get support or not. You're doing the right things. Again, get your notebook ready. The first thing you need to think about, people don't care about activities, they care about the outcomes of the work that you're doing. Next thing for your HR report. Your HR report must align with business priorities. As you're working up the pyramid, again, you're going from the tasks to the process to the data to the business alignment. In order for it to be business aligned, it's got to go back to what the business values right now. So anything can improve the business, anything can improve the HR processes, anything can improve the employee experience. But if that's not where the company is leaning right now, you're going to feel like you're fighting against the company. Again, talking about the example with the updating the termination process, where you're trying to make the process more empathetic. If you're not solving a real problem, if you're not literally responding to maybe feedback that you got in exit interviews, or maybe a poor experience that a person has had on their way out, or just anecdotal things you're hearing in the along the way, if you're not responding to something that not only is a real issue, but also something that the business is valuing at the same time, it's really a moot point. Every idea is a good idea. And so there's a myriad of things that you can do to improve anything. You know this because there's every time you go to SHRM, to HRCI, there are so many webinars on anything you want to improve. There's something you can find on it. There's a video, there's a webcast, there's a podcast, there is a ChatGPT prompt. There's never a shortage of things to improve. So you've got to narrow your focus and not think about just all the things that you can do. Think about things you should do. What is the business focused on right now? Is it focused on revenue growth? Is it focused on retention of your employees? Is it focused on retention of your clients? And is it focused on leadership development? Is it focused on succession planning? Think about what your business needs right now, and that's where you want to make sure your alignment of your HR work should be targeted to. If your HR metrics and your HR work don't point back to what the business is valuing right now, it won't be seen as strategic. It'll be seen as a side project, and you never want to be relegated to a side project. Hear me when I say this. You do not need to be a data analyst, but you just need to know what numbers tell the story that you need to tell right now. Next thing you want to know. Great HR reports are structured, predictable, and repeatable. As you're giving your updates, you want to use a consistent framework that leaders will come to expect. Consistency breeds trust. And you want to make sure that people can trust your updates and know that's coming from a great place. In my program, I talk about using the PACT method, PACT, where you talk about the problem at hand, the action you're going to take, the company impact, and then taking the next steps. And using this framework consistently will help people to know that when you're coming to them with a new idea or proposal or your suggestion, it's not coming from a vacuum. You've considered all areas. You're talking about the problems, the real problems that exist. Going back to that first point, you're talking about ways to think about ways to elevate your work and think about the company impact, not just a thing that's nice to have, a shiny object, but solving a real problem, and also being very clear on what you can do. The last thing leaders want is another problem that they have to fix. But if you come to them with not only your results that you've been able to get on your own, but also your suggestion on what to do next, that's where you really start to get that buy-in from a leader, because leaders again create other leaders, but leaders want other solution focused leaders around them. So this is where you want to make sure you are consistently presenting your ideas, presenting your HR reports in a way that's going to talk about ways that you are doing great work individually, but not focus only on the tasks, but the impact on not only your own department, but the whole organization. Understanding this point, and I want to make sure you don't miss this, is all about presenting your ideas in a powerful way, communicating your ideas very strategically, not doing it haphazardly, not doing it with no rhyme or reason. Again, going back to the pyramid, you don't want to just give an update randomly. That's a task, that's an administrative function. You need a process around the way you give your updates. And again, the proficiency pyramid can be applied to anything you do in HR, any competency you have in HR, any process that you have in HR needs to be flowed through in the proficiency pyramid. That's my mentality. I will stand on that until the day that I die, because I believe that that's how you truly elevate your work. If this is resonating with you, hit that like button and let me know, and drop down in the comments. If you know you want a chance to work with me, join my small group, comment down below with the words HR career success, and I'll send you a link to book a one-on-one call with me. It'll be an application to talk with me one-on-one. We'll talk about your goals, your challenges, and also whether working together could be right for you right now. Next thing for your HR reports, you must be concise. Visuals beat words every time. I didn't quite understand this importance of being concise, early in my career, because, I was an individual contributor and then I was a department leader. But now that I'm an executive leader leading multiple departments, I can only imagine how many emails and requests and feedback that the CEO gets. So think about that. If you report to the CEO or the CFO, consider the fact that they get inundated with information all day long. The number of unread emails that even I have as a chief administrative officer is unreal, because I get emails all day, every day from everybody inside of the company and outside of the company. So if someone's going to send me something as an executive leader, if you're going to send me a message or send me a report that's 17 pages long with no executive summary on the beginning of it and with no context, no prior conversation, I don't know where we're going, it's going to be very unlikely that you're going to get any response from me, because I don't have the time to dive into that with no context. So you've got to be very concise, and you need to know the conversation and communication style of your leader. Does your leader even like emails? Do they like long reports? Or would they value a one-page summary? Would they value a conversation by phone or by in person? Would they value, or do they want a long email? You need to know your manager, because everyone is different. Your CEO, everyone is different. But being concise matters. And when you're talking about impacting the things around you, impacting your organization, and you're trying to paint a picture, use visuals, whether it's charts to show the trends that you're seeing, or whether it's graphs to illustrate the data that you're receiving, whether it's through exit interviews or pulse surveys or engagement surveys, and the metrics that you're measuring. Again, looking at a black and white sheet of paper, or reading black and white on the screen, it can easily be data in, data out, in one ear and out the other ear. Choose your analogy, but you've got to find ways to make it engaging and make it informational. Again, remember, you're telling a story, so you've got to make sure you're painting a picture, not just with words, but with images as well. Strategic HR leadership is not about complexity, it's about clarity. Think about it this way: would you trust someone who takes 17 words to say the same thing you can say in 3 words or 5 words or 7 words? I think the least amount of things that you can say, the more you probably understand it. And if they've got questions, they can ask you the questions. But again, be very concise. Don't fluff it up just for taking up space on a page or taking up space on an email. That will always be seen through. So you want to make sure that you're taking respect for this person's time and respecting this person's energy as well. Next thing you want to know: Your HR report should drive the conversation, not follow it. What I mean by this is your HR report should start a conversation, so should start an initiative, should really plant a seed. I'm all about planting seeds, whether I'm talking to a person that I'm leading on my team, whether I'm talking to my CEO, whether I'm talking to a peer. Sometimes you can't get everything done at one time. The last thing you want to do is to give a report that doesn't matter, or just a report that you're just sharing like a for your information. For your informational reports aren't that effective because they're just, it's more of a, you're bragging, you're talking about what you're doing, you're talking about the impact that you're having, but it's not really reporting on anything that's truly significant. So your report should also paint a picture and tell a story and should start a conversation. Maybe you're sharing numbers because of something that you think you should do next, or maybe you're sharing numbers because of something you want to scale back, or maybe you're sharing numbers because you're talking about the effectiveness of a new program or the ineffectiveness of a new system that you've just put in place. Your reports should drive a conversation. It should plant a seed on the next thing that needs to be done. Think about it this way: strategic HR leaders don't wait for the CEO to give them direction. They take initiative. They lead the conversation. I've seen this firsthand in my journey from an intern to an assistant to a generalist to a manager to a senior manager to an AVP of HR to a VP of HR and now chief administrative officer. At each level of my work, each level of my career, my ability to communicate the work that I'm doing and lead the next thing that we need to do, has really been paramount for my career. So think about it that way. Strategic HR leaders are literally leading the narrative and helping people to see what's next for the company. When you learn how to present HR results confidently, leaders stop questioning your value and they start depending on you. They come to look for your ideas and look for your opinions. If this video is opening your eyes to what strategic HR communication could look like and you're ready for support implementing this in your own role, I'd love to support you inside my HR Leadership Accelerator program. This is the work that I do to help you elevate your work, to communicate your value using the PAC method, and to truly show the value that you're doing consistently with your leaders. The goal here is to get recognized for the leader that you already are. Click the link in the description box or comment down below the words HR Career Success, and I'll send you a link to book a one-on-one call with me. Apply for some time to talk about your goals, your aspirations for your career, and also whether working together is the right fit for you today. Be sure to comment down below to let me know what resonated most from you out of this video. Now that you have clarity about what goes into an HR report to be effective and share powerful updates with your leaders, remember, success comes from knowing how to lead, how to influence, and how to follow through. In my next video, I'm going to talk about the step-by-step behaviors to go from an overworked manager to a true successful leader that is valued and respected in the workplace. Watch this video next, and I'll see you there.